Jesus said, I have come that my joy might be in you and that your joy might be full. Now, that's not the image of Jesus that a lot of people have, I think. A lot of people think of Jesus as being sad and emaciated and think of him in terms of suffering. How often do we think about the joy that Jesus represents? That's what I think it's all about, really. It's about that joy. And I think that people may think that there is joy, but that joy is going to come at some later time, after they die. If they believe the right way, then they get to be in heaven where there's joy and all their needs are met. You know, Billy Graham said many years ago that when people get to heaven, everybody's going to drive a pink Cadillac and the angels are going to be waiting on them. And I thought to myself, that's not heaven, that's Vegas. This idea that heaven is going to be some kind of material thing is probably a carryover from what we think is going to bring us happiness in this life. You know, if only I could be rich and famous, if I can just have this or have that, then I will finally be happy. And that's just not the way it works. It's not the way it works. I think we discover that the longer we live. The more we live, we start to realize, gosh, this isn't making me happy. People win gold medals, and then they're like, oh, is that all there is? Now what? Yeah, outer things aren't going to do it for us. So the other night, I was thinking about, okay, what's the topic for this coming Sunday? And I had a dream in which this title, The Mystical Essence, Bliss, came in the dream. And I thought, well, that would be a good title. I certainly love that topic, and it sounds like a title. Why don't we go with that topic this week? So that's why we're talking about that this morning. I'm not saying that everything that comes in a dream is guidance. Certainly not. But it was logical. It made sense. It looked like a title. And who doesn't like to talk about joy and bliss? So if joy isn't something that you get after you die, I mean, I'm not saying you don't. I'm not saying you wouldn't. But I believe Jesus was talking about finding joy in your life now. Because when he came to the planet, there were a lot of unhappy people. And on the planet today, there are a lot of unhappy people. And people can say, well, of course we're unhappy with the things going on in the world and so on. How could you not be unhappy? But I'm here to say that things can be really tough. And things may not be what we want them to be in the outer world. But that's not why people are unhappy. And I believe that the joy Jesus was talking about was an inner joy, that mystical essence that is our true nature. When I was in high school, I picked up one of my mother's books, and it was To Know Yourself by the great yogi master, Swami Satchidananda. That's another long name that you can get confused with other ones that I occasionally mention. Anyway, I picked up that book, and in it, it said that you don't find happiness within, and you don't find happiness outside of you. You are happiness. Happiness is everywhere. And you don't try to get happiness, you have to be it. He said that we are happy until then we want something, and then we want something thinking that when we get it, then we'll be happy again. And once you get it, where are you? You're back where you were before you wanted it. Interesting. He said, want not and waste not. Instead of want not, waste not, want not and waste not your happiness. Waste not your happiness. Interesting, right? So this idea that we don't need outer things to be happy, to have joy, has been really something that I have sought to understand ever since that time. And have discovered in many ways the truth of that. The truth of that. But it's something that we have to learn from life, you know. It's one thing to hear it. Sounds nice. It sounds great. And when I first read it, I thought, that would change the whole world. That's the solution for all the world's problems. I mean, think about it. If everybody was inwardly content and happy, there wouldn't be any more problems. No one would want to take somebody's toys from someone else. Nations wouldn't want to take things from other nations, and people wouldn't want to take things from other people. Everybody would be in joy and in happiness. They'd be radiating happiness. So Jesus said that this joy could be in you. His joy could be in you. And where was his joy? His joy, as he said, was the kingdom of God is within you. He tapped in to that inner joy. That's how he was able to be on the cross and still be able to say, Father, forgive them. That's why he could be on the cross and not be like, I'm going to come down and get you guys. No, because, you know, we do harm to others when we are unhappy, right? People hurt others when they are hurting. People hurt others when they're stressed. People say negative things when they're unhappy. Who goes to work, is given a raise, given a promotion, is all happy, and then comes home and then gets irate or gets drunk? No, because you're feeling high. You're feeling good. And that's what everybody wants. That's what he said that really got me. Everybody is doing everything to find joy, to be happy. The bank robber robs the bank. Why are you robbing the bank? Because I want money. Why do you want money? Because I want to buy things. Why do you want to buy things? Because these things will make me happy. You go to the police, you go to someone else. Why do you want what you want? Underneath it all is this yearning for joy, for happiness. Look at yourself. Analyze yourself and ask, what is it that I really, 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 really want? I'm going to say that I believe that if we could live in joy all the time, wouldn't that be nice? Because the saints and sages tell us that that's possible, that we can be in joy all the time. Look at little kids. They're pretty darn happy, aren't they? Before the age of 5 particularly. They don't have cars and titles and this and that. They're just joyful with the joy of life. Look at little baby animals, how they play and they're jumping around and they're playing with each other. It's just a joy of life. And that's what we all want. And it's inside of us. It's our true nature because we're created in the image of God. And there's a great word for God in the East. It's called Satchidananda, conscious, eternal. The word Ananda means bliss. Bliss. There's a bliss at the center of our being. Charles Fillmore, co-founder of Unity, said this in his book, Talks on Truth. He said, I have proved to my own satisfaction that when Jesus said, the kingdom of God is within you, he meant it literally and not figuratively. There is within everyone a place, a conscious sphere of mind, having all the attractions described or imagined as belonging to heaven. My most exalted ideas of the joys of heaven never anticipated the ecstatic thrill that suffuses my whole being while I rest in spirit at this center within. Ecstatic thrill. Charles Fillmore, There is a bliss. There's a joy in the center of our being. There is Satchidananda at the center of our being. Why do people go to rock concerts? Why do people do whatever they do? It's because they want to be high. And now with the recent law in New York passed, it'll be easier to get high for people on the street. But we're talking about spiritual high. We're talking about a high that's not dependent on substances. It's not going to have negative side effects. You're not going to get bored of it. One time I asked this guy, I said, why? Oh, he was a friend from high school. Saw him years later. I was like, why do you smoke marijuana? You know, what does it do for you? And he said, at this point, it's just a habit. It's not doing a whole lot for me. At this point, it's just a habit. And I thought, okay. I guess it's an expensive habit. I don't know. But anyway, we're talking about the spiritual high, right? At the center of our being. Now, I remember the first time, maybe the first time, I experienced that thrill that Charles Fillmore talked about. I think I was about a sophomore in college at James Madison University, and I was practicing something called centering prayer. Centering prayer goes back to Christianity centuries ago. Monks would practice centering prayer. They would repeat something in their mind, focus at the center of their heart. And I was practicing that at one point in sophomore in college. And I can remember feeling such an inner thrill, just like a well-being and a thrilling sense inside myself. Now, you know, the thing about it is that goes with you. You know, a little bit seeps off into your consciousness. That's what Paul meant by the fruits of the Spirit. Joy, peace, love, and so on. These things start to seep into us. As Emerson said, you are the inlet and may become the outlet for all there is in God. So when you get still and quiet and you drink of that living waters, of that inner joy, that inner bliss, guess what? Some of it sticks. Maybe not a lot, maybe just a little bit sticks, but some of it sticks. And you find that it goes with you. Now, the sages and masters who have unclogged all their spiritual arteries and they have this stream of living waters flowing through them, for them, it's like a portable paradise. They just walk around with that bliss. Paramahansa Yogananda, who used to have a ashram where students would come and study and so on and live there, they couldn't stay around Yogananda that long. I heard that ashram in Los Angeles was like a revolving door. Those students would come, they'd live, and then they'd leave. They couldn't handle the bliss of Yogananda. And that's one of the things about it. We're like, why aren't we just enlightened? Why don't we just feel all of God? Because you wouldn't be able to handle the joy. You wouldn't be able to handle the energy. It would burn out your nervous system. You got to grow, you know, you got to grow into it. You got to, some of these mystical experiences we have in prayer and meditation, they're sort of glimpses. They're like, see what's possible? They keep you going. They keep you on the path. And you go, oh, I want more of that. I'd like to experience more of that. But it doesn't just, you know, it sort of fades away again. And that's going to lead me to my next point in just a minute. But I love the goal. The goal is that we can be in joy all the time. We can be in love. We can be in bliss. We can radiate this all the time. Now, I remember one time when I was living at Ananda Village, Bliss Village, right? Remember the word Ananda is bliss. Living at Ananda Village because I was already an ordained unity minister. I wanted to go there and deepen my understanding of meditation and also to be in a community of people who were also interested in those things. So I went there, became a yoga instructor, deepened my understanding of Yogananda's teachings and so on. And one of the traditions that they do there is every Christmas they do an 8-hour meditation. Yep, you heard me right. 8-hour meditation. Well, we did a 10-minute meditation in this service a little earlier. They do an 8-hour meditation every Christmas. And because it's a very high vibration time, people are thinking about Jesus and so on, it's a wonderful way to celebrate. And when I went to do that, I was like, oh my gosh, 8-hour meditation, geez. And the amazing thing is, there were breaks, by the way. You didn't just close your eyes and 8 hours, your eyes are closed. No, there was chanting, there was some stretching breaks, they would read quotes, and there was a lot of meditation. So the first time I did that, it went by pretty easily. I was amazed. By the end, it was like, wow, that was 8 hours, wow. And that night, this is my point, that night, it felt like I slept in joy all night. You know how part of you is aware while you're sleeping because you wake up and you remember your dreams, right? You wake up and you remember, oh, what a dream I had, right? Well, I woke up and I knew that I had experienced joy all night long. Now, if only I could bring that to the daily experience, that kind of joy. You see, it's not enough to get still and quiet, to meditate and feel love and feel bliss. No, we want to bring that in throughout the day. We want to live in that consciousness, no matter what happens. He said to be even-minded and cheerful at all times. At all times. That's the goal, I think. Is it possible in this world? Saints and sages tell us it is. Now here is the rub. All right? Ready for the rub? The rub is this. We set ourselves up to be unhappy. That's right. So our true nature is joy, right? We're created in the image of happiness. However, we block that flow of joy. How do we do that? And we get glimpses of it when we meditate. Maybe when we tune in through meditation, we feel it. I know I do. I can get still, feel this inner well-being, feel this inner joy. It's great. It fuels the rest of the day. It helps keep me conscious. But it's not the same for much of the day. You know, that same feeling, it's because we block it. How do we block it? Something Michael Singer points out. We have these ideas of what is going to make me happy. And we try to create that in our world around us. And unfortunately, it's only a few things from the past that we think is going to make us happy in the present. And there were things that created pain for us in the past, and now we try to avoid those in the present. Somebody was married to a guy named Bill, and he's an ex-husband. So now they get a reaction when they hear the word Bill. Hey, you want to go on a blind date? Oh yeah, what's his name? Bill. Oh no, I can't go out with a guy named Bill. I haven't had much luck with Bills. No. Avoid Bill. You know, that's a silly example maybe, but that's how we are. We carry this, what are called samskaras, pain from the past, pleasure from the past, and we constantly want that to be the now. As he says, somebody they're out in the field and a butterfly lands on their arm and it's like, oh, that's so pleasant. Isn't that lovely? Look at the butterfly, it's beautiful. So now, in the present, we're looking around looking for butterflies to land on our arm. Oh, but there are no butterflies. Oh no, that's terrible, right? No butterflies. And there's people named Bill. I want to avoid people named Bill, and I want to find butterflies to land on me. Those are kind of a silly way of explaining it, but that's what happens. That's why we have such resistance to things that occur around us, because they're not the way we want them to be. They're not what we like. They're not what we want. It's like you've been to a nice restaurant. I don't know when the last time you've been to a nice restaurant. I hope you're feeling more comfortable to be able to get out in one and safely and to enjoy a nice restaurant. But imagine going to your favorite restaurant And it's just delicious. You know, it's wonderful. And now you set a time to go with some friends. And before you get to the restaurant, you're like, you're going to really love this restaurant. The chef is so great, the food is good, and you go in the restaurant and it's not the same. Oh my goodness, what a terrible thing. It's not the same. It didn't turn out the way you expected it to. And there's disappointment, there's resistance. Who knows, maybe the chef took a day off. Who knows what it was? Maybe your taste changed. I don't know. That happened to me. I used to love pecan pie until just the last few months. I ate pecan pie this holiday season. I didn't like it anymore. It's too sweet for me. What the heck happened? I don't know. But that's what happens. We have all these likes and dislikes, the way things should be, the way we want them to be, the way they ought to be, that made us happy in the past, and now they're not making us happy now. What is that called? It's called anguishing monotony. Psychologists know we adapt to things. We adapt to things. Like, yum, I remember I used to love mangoes. When I first came to New York back in 1999, I was eating lots of mangoes. I was like, wow, mangoes, yum, 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 yum. After a couple of months, I didn't eat a mango for years. That was it for the mango. I don't know the last time I had a mango. That's the way it is with this life, with these earthly experiences. Not saying deny yourself the earthly experience. I'm saying we want this ever new joy that bubbles up from our mystical center, to live in that. And so what do we do? What do we do? Because we got these blockages that are following us around. They're following us around. Singer makes a very interesting point. He says, you know how dreams, psychologists know, we stuff stuff down. This is Sigmund Freud. We stuff things, we bury things, and then our dreams are a way that we cleanse this stuff. It's a way that our mind is able to heal itself, to get by the conscious mind, to get by the resistances that we have. And it brings stuff up in dreams so that it can be free. And we can't resist it. And he said the big breakthrough in his life is when he realized that the thoughts and feelings that occur during the day are just like the dream. It's the mind trying to heal itself of the stuff we buried. What do you mean? What do you mean? I thought it's because of what she said. I thought it's because of what happened. I thought it's because of what they did, why I'm so upset. It's not what he says. It's because of old stuff inside of us, and then when these things happen on the outside, it triggers this old stuff that comes up. That's why sometimes things happen out here, and we get all upset, and it's not even what we thought it was. It was our own projection of our inner stuff. So we're carrying around this stuff, and it's blocking that experience of this inner bliss. This inner bliss. Like Satchidananda said, you know, it's you want stuff to be the way that it's been in the past, or that you unconsciously think it should be, so for you to be happy. Wouldn't it be great if we stopped setting conditions on our happiness? Wouldn't it be great if we could just be happy, no matter what happens? That's the spiritual journey, ladies and gentlemen, to be happy no matter what happens. That's right, to be happy no matter what happens. And how do we cultivate that? We cultivate that by, first of all, deciding that's what we want to do. It takes a commitment. It really is, and that is the spiritual journey. Spiritual journey is not, I'm going to manifest everything I want, you know. I've got nice clothes and a car and this job and this position. Look how spiritual I am. That's not the spiritual journey. The spiritual journey is learning to be happy no matter what. And what we need to do is, when something happens in the outer, it doesn't go the way we want it to. Oh my God, the subway is late. The bus is not on time. Would that lady shut up over there and stop talking so loud? You know, or why isn't he wearing his mask? Why isn't he wearing a mask? He should be wearing a mask. Or somebody gives you an ugly look because you're not wearing your mask. All those things that occur during the day. And we get a rise. We start to feel that feeling come up, that anger, that resistance, that fear, that anxiety, that jealousy, whatever it is. That is our spiritual path. That's our spiritual journey. As he says, most of us are not familiar with that inner bliss. We know the pain, though. We know the emotions. We know our humanness. We know the anger. We know the anxiety. We know the fears. That's where you work with. That's what you work with. When it comes up, when the anger comes up, when the fear comes up, when the anxiety comes up, don't resist it. Don't try to push it away. Don't go, oh, I don't like that, or I'm afraid of that. I don't want to be that. And for heaven's sake, don't practice spiritual craziness. I'd never feel angry. Certainly I'm not angry. No. Notice it. Let yourself feel it and then relax. Relax. Don't let it pull you in. That is the journey. That's the spiritual journey. Because if you resist it, if you push it down, if you push it away, guess what's going to happen? You're creating another samskara. You're creating another blockage that's going to come up again in the future. You've created another one. Instead, use the external experiences that come your way to be an opportunity to not react, to let it come up, feel it, and then relax. Shift your consciousness. Don't let it pull you in. And eventually, it's not going to do it anymore. Eventually, that mind's going to stop talking. You know what she said to me? You know what she said? Let me tell you what she said. You know, and your mind's going 100 miles an hour. He shouldn't be saying that to me. That shouldn't have happened, blah, 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 blah. Your mind's going crazy like that. Eventually, the mind stops doing that because you're not feeding it. You're not giving it attention. You have learned to just relax around it. And man, I've been practicing that, and that's a cool practice. It's a wonderful practice. You don't have to resist it. You just watch it. See what it says. Watch what it says. Watch what you feel, and try to relax around it. Relax around it. You can practice. Practice with the little things. Practice when, you know, someone's not wearing their mask and you think they should. Or practice when someone gives you an ugly look because you're not wearing your mask. Whatever it is, practice and notice, what am I feeling? And remember, you're not your feeling. You're not your thoughts. You can observe those. And that's the practice. That's how we begin to free up this flow inside of us so that we can get back to experiencing and living from our mystical essence, which is God, which is Satchidananda, which is bliss. I love this quote from Emily Cady, another Unity classic. She says, hitherto, now that's a word you don't hear very often, right? Until now, hitherto, we have believed that we were helped and comforted by others, that we received joy from outside circumstances and surroundings. But it is not so. All joy and strength and good spring up from a fountain within one's own being. And if we only knew this truth, we should know that because God in us is the fountain out of which springs all our good, nothing that anyone does or says or fails to do or say can take away our joy and our good. Let's get still for a moment. And we acknowledge that right now there is a fountain of joy inside of us expressing as us, that we are the happiness of God. We are created in the image of happiness, and that we have the ability and the possibility to live in that joy all the time, to experience, as the great saints and masters have told us, to live in joy that's 1,000,000 times greater than any joy from anything in the outer world. We have that ability. It is possible for us. And so we claim that possibility. We know and we trust that the joy that Jesus spoke of, that the joy that the saints and sages spoke of, is our true reality, our true nature. And we open our minds and hearts to experiencing that inner joy. And we know that with God, with Spirit, we have the ability to experience and let ourselves feel whatever emotions surface to be healed. That when something pushes our buttons, it's because we have buttons that are pushable. It's because we have some scars that are seeking to be healed. Course in Miracles says that love heals all that which is unlike itself. It reveals that which is unlike itself. And so we are on this journey together. And we thank you, Father, Mother, God, for guiding us, directing us, healing us, and awakening us to the joy that is our true nature. And would you please join me in knowing the light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. I want to thank you for joining us today at the Unity Center of New York City for our live stream service, and we will see you next time.